Hey, what's up, PC addicts? JayzTwoCents here, and today we're going to take a look at the annoying little brother of the amazing Cosmos 2 case, that being the Cosmos SE from Cooler Master. We're going to see how this guy stacks up to the big brother, because we all know little brothers are just annoying, and they suck. I know this because I'm actually the little brother in my family. Okay, let's go ahead and take a quick tour around the box. I don't care much about unboxings and stuff, but we'll go ahead and talk about quick specs. This is a black case here with a side window. It fits an ATX, Micro-ATX, and Mini-ITX motherboards. It does not fit E-ATX, guys. Unfortunately, if you have an E-ATX motherboard like I do, it's not gonna fit in this bad boy. So, small brother annoyance number one, I wish it fit E-ATX, but that's besides the point. It's got 3 5¼ drive bays, it's got 8 3.5-inch drive bays, and it's got up to 18 SSD support. 18 SSDs. Holy crap. I think that's the most SSDs I've ever seen that can fit into a single case that I've reviewed yet anyway. It's got USB 3.0, 2 of them, 2 USB 2.0, and audio in and out on the front I/O. And it does have 7 expansion slots. Now when it comes to cooling, you can fit 2 120 or 2 140 millimeter fans up top. That includes radiator support, so you can fit dual 120 or dual 140 coolers up there, like the Neptune 180, the H110, things like that. In the front, it does fit 2 times 120 millimeter fans. It also can be converted to one 140 millimeter fan. It comes with one pre-installed 120 millimeter fan in the back. It's a 1200 RPM, 17 dBA fan. And on the side, if you have the optional mesh side panel, it can fit a 120 or a 140 millimeter fan. The hard drive cage itself can also mount 2 120 millimeter fans, which are optional, and I highly recommend, and you'll see why in just a little bit here. Now when it comes to VGA support, it can fit up to 10.9-inch cards with the hard drive bracket installed. If you remove that hard drive bracket, if you're gonna do a front radiator or something like that, you can fit much longer graphics cards in there. And lastly, when it comes to CPU cooler height, compatibility, 175 millimeters or 6.9-inch high coolers are supported in this case here. So let's go ahead and get this thing out of the box and let's talk about it a little bit closer. Now, because a lot of people do get kind of caught up on the packing materials, it does come with, and I've already opened this up, obviously. I took a look at it and played around with it a little bit. All right, so here's the case right here, and the first thing you may or may not be able to really tell on camera is just how small it really is. It's really not that big, and I think that's pretty evident once we take a look at the inside here and you see the motherboard tray area. In fact, it becomes very, very clear from the moment you look at it that this bad boy is not going to fit that E-ATX motherboard, which I'm a little disappointed about. Here's your side panel here with your window. Flex test is pretty good. A lot of people like to do the flex test. Once it's mounted though, and it's got the screws in there, even if it flexed a lot, it wouldn't matter, but flex is all right on there. Here is the inside of the case right there, and as you can see, you've got this massive hard drive cage right there that gets in the way when it comes to the actual motherboard installation. Now, before we talk about this massive, massive hard drive cage right there, let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the case. Here's your 120 millimeter fan pre-installed in the back. And one of the things I do like about this case though, as you can see here, is it's kind of got this little cutout here, not really cut out, but it's more of a pop out where it extends a little bit from the side, giving you more room for your cable management there. And that's actually really, really important to a guy like me, because that's where you're gonna get all of your cable management. Because if you have more room behind the motherboard tray, you can get a lot more accomplished in terms of your cable management. Now I actually had to grab a screwdriver here to get the top screw off. The threads on that one were really, really tight. Even though it's a thumb screw, they seem to have installed it with the, they had the Hulk screw it in, I guess, because it was really tight. So there's that side panel I mentioned. You can see how it's got extra room in there for your cable management, and that's a big deal. I really like that. Now, one other thing that this case does inherit from its bigger brothers are these handles, both on the top and the bottom. I mean, they are actually very, very, very strong. They are part of the structure of the case. And as you can see, I can actually hold the entire case out by those handles, and there's no creaking. Well, what you're hearing is the cables flopping around, but there's no creaking or anything in there. They're actually very, very, very strong. So that's kind of neat. It gives you a way to transport your case and move it around. First thing you may notice on the back here is there is a lot of cables sitting here, though. These are your front fan cables. They've also got Molex pass-through adapters on there, and then they come through to a fan controller, which are why you've got these loose cables kind of flopping around here. Same with the back. So they give you the option of being a 3-pin cable or 3-pin fan, but they also, because they give you the Molex pass-through, this is nice because if you don't have, I get messages all the time from people saying, I don't have enough 3-pin headers on my motherboard, but how am I going to plug in all my fans? So you don't have to actually go out and buy a splitter. They include 3 of these already, excuse me, 4 of these already are included with the case. So chances are you're going to have plenty of fan support. You've got nice rubber grommets here for all your cable pass-throughs. All the internal cabling is black. That's a huge plus. It makes it much easier to stealth all of your cables when they're black, especially in a black case. And then moving around to the front here, move these cables out of the way so I don't break them off. I don't want to break off a piece, if you know what I'm saying. So here's the front here. You've got nice mesh grill, Cooler Master logo right there. Now this is a little bit disappointing. I thought that these were going to be hot swap bays just by the way they look with these little latches right here, but they are just little pop outs for the front there. Now one thing I want to point out is you do have your, well that just popped right off there, don't you know. So here's your filtered front mesh that pops off really easy. In fact, a little bit easier than I had hoped right there, I guess. So you can get this off for easy cleaning, which exposes your front 200 or 120 millimeter fans. Now the only thing I don't like is you can see right here is a good third of the top fan is actually blocked by the top or the 5 1/4 bay covers, and these are not vented. So if these had been vented, then it could have still pulled air through. Unfortunately, a good portion of this top fan is actually being blocked by that cover. So that's a downside. I'm not too happy about that. If you look at the bottom here, you can see it's got dual filters, one for the power supply on the back, as well as the front right here. If you have, well, I guess you can actually mount a fan in the front there if you wanted to have a bottom mounted fan by taking out the radiator cages. Looks like that's possible. And then on the top, there's another thumb screw here, which is on there much tighter than thumb strength. Makes me wonder why some of these companies they'll put thumb screws everywhere, but then they crank them down with a tool, and you can't actually thumb screw it off. But anyway, the top piece, as you can see, comes off right here, which is once again filtered and mesh vented for your PC's pleasure, I guess. And then you can expose the top fan mounts right there, and as you can see, dual 120 and dual 140 compatibility. Now the thing about this case that I think a lot of people have a love-hate relationship with is this guy right here, the actual hard drive cages. Because as you can see, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sleds on there. Now the thing about these sleds is each sled actually has support for 2 SSDs. One can mount on the top part of the sled, and it's actually got these little hooks on the bottom there, so you can put an SSD on the bottom and put them on the top and bottom. So you could have a massive SSD RAID array on here if you wanted multiples of them, or you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hard drives on there. Expansion for 2 more on the bottom. As you can see right here, they actually slide out the front, and you just have tons and tons and tons of hard drive support. We'll get to radiators in a second, because this thing does actually support radiators on the front as well. Now all of these cages actually have screws on here, and these screws can be taken out. All of these drive sleds can be taken out as well. As you can see, there's quite a few of them, and then you can take out all these screws right here, and you can actually have then some support for mounting radiators. So it actually takes a lot of work to get to where the radiators are. Now you might be asking yourself, how do you actually mount the radiators? Well, they come with these brackets right here inside the hardware case, and they end up mounting right on the front, and then you can mount your radiator to this bracket right there. So it'll fit a 240 millimeter radiator in the front with no issues, and you can still use the bottom portion right here for your standard hard drives if you wanted to go that route. So this case right here overall, it feels like an awful lot crammed into a small package. Now, I kind of have to wonder why they have so many hard drives right here. I get it. I mean, I get why they did it. That they wanted to be able to have it be a no compromise, maybe a NAS solution, or because of the craze of cryptocurrency mining and stuff, you know, a lot of people run through hard drives really, really fast. And so you want to have just kind of a no compromise hard drive solution. I mean, not only could you fit the 12 SSDs on the front, but you can also fit more SSDs down in the bottom cage. And there is also 2 hidden SSDs on the back right here. One right here and one right there. So if this were me building in this case, which I'm actually not, because as I mentioned, the motherboard that I would be putting in here is an E-ATX, unfortunately. I would be putting my hard drives in the bottom, my SSDs in the back, and then I would have taken out all of these hard drive sleds and cages, and then I would have ended up putting some water cooling in here. At least that's the way that I would have done it. Now this case I think would appeal to many people, one, because of its price point. You can check out pricing in the description there. I'll have some links to go and check that out. But the fact that you can mount so many hard drives in here, you can still get plenty of airflow because you can have the front fans as well as more fans on the cage here moving the air through, so you have good static pressure. Because initially I thought, man, there's no way you could actually get air through this case. But the more I took a look at this, you actually could. It's very, very perforated, lots and lots of air vents and holes. And as long as you have fans on both sides of the cage, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. So this case probably would appeal to someone that's just looking for one case that could kind of meet any situation that it could possibly need to be used for. I kind of wish it was a little bit bigger. I wish it supported E-ATX as well, because then it would have been the ultimate case that could have fit any solution. But most people are not using E-ATX motherboards like I am anyway, so that's kind of a moot point. Well guys, this has been the Cosmos SE from Cooler Master. Tell me what you guys think. Definitely has a crap ton of storage capability to this. I mean, this has got the most storage capability so far of any case I've taken a look at, with the exception of the 900D. But then again, the 900D cannot fit 18 SSDs, nor does it come in anywhere close to this price point. So guys, it's been JayzTwoCents. Follow on Twitter if you have any questions. As always, I will see you in the next one.